A good girl from a Christian home on entering university found herself pregnant. A life-changing experience. 18 years down the line, with God in her life, she shares her story of glory. Welcome, Anaitodia.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's lovely to have you on our show
Oh, it's been great.
You grew up in church, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, what was that like growing up?
Oh, so my father was a pastor. My mum, well, is a pastor.
It was.
My father is a pastor. My mum is a pastor. So I've been dragged to church from the age of, I can't remember when. Yeah.
Notice you said dragged.
Yes, I was dragged. It wasn't my intention. I was dragged.
Okay. What was church like up until when you stopped being dragged, basically?
Church was a bore for me, let me not lie, because I was young. There was nothing to do. I was just following my parents because they had to go and I had to go and they were not going to leave me at home, So they'll wake up in the morning, shout, get up, the routine. Yeah. So it was for me a bore because there was absolutely nothing.
When did that change?
I think it changed earlier. I think it changed when they decided to now split out our church. So we now had a youth church, where we now had time to express ourselves. But that was later on. That was much into almost teens,
Well, at least you could relate to the
But then you can relate to the youth church, and it was nice that people your age, people your own, mindset. So it was good, yeah.
Do you have siblings to go with?
Yes, I do. So I have a brother, 4 years younger than I am.
Right, okay. So
but he thinks he's older. He likes to think so.
So let's just say you grew up in a Christian home, lovely family.
Yeah.
Supportive parents.
Yes.
And you went into uni. You did your secondary.
So I did my secondary school in. I moved from Greece actually. So I was born in Greece.
Okay.
And then while I was young, we went back to Nigeria.
Okay.
Then when I came back around 9, I went to school in Rotherhithe in London.
Okay.
And then I went to secondary school, similar, Bacon's College. Woohoo!
Oh.
And then I went off to uni, Luton University, to be precise. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you had a relationship with God at any of this stages?
I think I was in and out.
Okay.
I was in and out. It wasn't a strong relationship. I knew who God was. Yes. I knew to follow him. I knew to pray to him. I knew him because my parents every night would say, let's pray. You had no choice. Like we've been told. So we sit there and then my mom would do this long prayer and half of us is falling asleep. And then she would wake us up and, I was. But yeah, so relationship, I wouldn't say so. No.
Okay, so what happened when you got into uni in the first year?
Oh, so when I got into uni in the first year, it was my breakthrough from home,
Freedom,
and with freedom came pregnancy. Yes. So I think then I think that Christian walk just went down the pan. The little I knew just went down the So it was out in terms of I left my home, but it was, oh my gosh, because I got myself into a nice mess, I would say, because my son is a blessing. So yeah.
So what was that like when you have to share this with us, where you had to tell your parents?
Oh my God.
I know what it's like with African parents.
Yeah.
And when something like that happens to you, especially when you're in uni, they've got all these expectations, there's all this pressure on you. How did you break that to you?
So
especially Christian.
I was petrified, and I was a club girl, so I was going clubbing all the time, as in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, anytime I was going clubbing. And then I just found myself in this situation, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I, break it to my parents? So when I got my results, I was screaming the whole house down. I was like, it's impossible. I was like, so I actually called them up and said, excuse me, my name is Anna Mafo, check again. Yeah. So yes, very much.
How old were you?
I was 20.
Okay.
So obviously I'd left home, and it seems like when I left home is when I decided to go wild, but telling my parents was, oh my gosh. So I told my mum first. But the way I told my mum is I lived with, in uni, in a house shared. And so there was a girl that my mum knew. So I forgot her name. I can't remember her name. But I used to just call her and say, Mum, so-and-so is pregnant, you know, how would you deal with it? And each day she would ask me about this person,
Right,
you know,
pregnant.
how is she? I told her mom, I said, oh, she hasn't, but she's scared. So I would say, okay, mom, if I tell you, how would you feel?
Yeah.
She goes, oh, I'll be okay. You know, it's just, you know, I'll be disappointed, you know, but, you know, the Lord would give us the grace. It's a lie. Absolute lie.
What happened to that grace?
After like 3 weeks of asking, I think either the Holy Spirit told her or she got the whiff. She now called me and said, Anna, come. Is this person you?
Oh, that that
so I think at that point I just said, Mom, it's me. And whatever she told me that 3 weeks a lie, she just switched. She said she's going to leave the country. She said, oh no, this place is not too big. It's too big for both of us. She just lost the plot, really, I would say, because I think it then hit her because she was a pastor. How was she going to tell the church? How was that? You know, it was this whole thing about, oh my gosh, how can this happen to her?
To me, yeah.
You know, and it wasn't about her, really. It was about me. But
I think in a way it was about her.
It was, you know. And what made it easier, because I have a very, very understanding father. So my dad is like the peace in the house. So he sort of, I think, spoke to my mum, and then mum said to her, listen, it's happened. So how do we now do with it? You know, how do we move on? And I think that's when, after like 3 days of my mum not talking to me, she now became obsessive. She would come to my house. She was living in London, then I was in Luton. She would come and bring me food and all of that. And I'm like, you know, but I think at that point she realized that.
Yeah.
And I think she said something during my pregnancy that God spoke to her, and I think it was that God speaking to her that helped her move on, and you know, so she was able to now deal with it and became really supportive afterwards.
Okay. Interesting one. Thinking about that, in terms of where were you in terms of all this, and as the pregnancy began to grow, you had school, you still had college.
I had school. I was in uni, so my pregnancy sort of was in summer, so I'd done my first year. Okay. And what was good about that was because I was a A-star student, so I was getting all A's. And anyone that says to you that first year doesn't matter, it matters. It really does, because that sort of helped me in my second year, because I had my son, I think, a few weeks after we started term. Okay. But what I'd done over the last year sort of gave the teachers that confidence that even if I miss, I was able to, you know, and God was so faithful. I found favor with one of the teachers, and what she did was she went around, gathered all my work, and she would send me work at home. And I was doing my work at home. So when I came back, I wasn't behind. Yes. So I think that helped. But I think growing up with, being in a Christian, with Christian parents, and pregnant in church was a whole new dynamic. I
was going to say, we need to ask about the church, because again, how was that received by the church?
It wasn't received well at all. I wasn't the child they wanted to know anymore. You know, I was now a disappointment. A lot of people said so many negative things to me that, oh, your life has finished. And what was so discouraging as well was we were part of a youth group. And unfortunately, there were 2 pregnancies now within the youth group. So the parents did not know how to deal with that, so started withdrawing their children from the church.
And I think at times the church, to be honest, at times the church maybe initially didn't know how to.
They didn't know how to deal with it, you know.
Exactly. In terms of helping and supporting.
They don't.
And embracing.
And I think in that time we were the only ones that were pregnant, so there were 2 pregnancies really after each other. So the church were like probably overwhelmed and didn't know how to deal with it. And I remember the first time I had to go in front of the church and ask for forgiveness. That made me feel so small, because I didn't understand the reason why I needed to do that. Now I do. I do, but then I was so fragile that sort of even spiraled me down.
I was going to say that could even impact your relationship.
I was like, what is this all about? Why do I have to come and say sorry to who? You know, but then it felt like I wasn't saying sorry to God. It felt like I was saying sorry to the church. And I was thinking, okay, but we are where we are.
Yeah,
So I had to do it in order for me to progress in the church. So yeah.
And then after that, you had the baby. You went back to finish. Did you finish your?
Yes, I finished with a 2-1.
Oh,
yes.
well done.
I remember checking my grades because it was a very difficult time because obviously nursing mother, going to school, coming back, sleepy. My parents, absolutely amazing. So my mum changed her shift patterns to suit my school. So while I was in school, she would be there, and while in the night when I'm looking after Joshua, she will now go to work. So we used to take in terms.
Before I forget this, I just want to mention this. Can I just say I commend your parents? Because
yes, I do.
Honestly, I know there are times, you know, being in that kind of situation, some parents might think kicking a child out of the house solves the problem.
Yeah.
But I think it puts that child, the unborn child, and their own child in a dire situation.
It does.
You know.
And they did well. I really do commend them, and I want to use this opportunity to say thank you. They did absolutely well. Because I remember when we brought Joshua to church the first time, my mom had so much pride in her. This smile on her face, it sort of eliminated a number of things that people would have thought, because they saw now that this person was now supportive. And you know what happened? A few years down the line, some things happened, and who did they go to? They went back to my mum to ask her for advice on, how did you manage to, you know, so it was. So
it now became her testimony.
Exactly, it became her testimony. So it was a good thing, yeah.
And just like you said, I think what would have really helped, like you said, her, was that word that she heard from God. It just gave her, you know, that push, you know, and also that peace. Yeah, because it couldn't have been really. It wasn't. But now, and for you too.
I think my peace. I was okay that my mum now was on my side and she was supporting me. But I didn't have, you know, that peace that you talk about. You know,
we'll come back because we need to hear more about that peace and where you got that peace and when you got that peace. Okay, we're going to go on a quick break now. We'll be back shortly.